Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to ETL QA Lab. So in this session, we will look at two very important ETL testing related questions, right? So these questions are basically theoretical, and I think when interviewer asks these questions, I think he or she want to know basically whether you understand the ETL testing in a holistic manner or not, right? So these are very important question. Okay, so just you have to answer in that way, right? So that the interviewer actually understand that you are working into ETL testing, and then you have the good knowledge around it, right? So what are those questions? Let's see. So first question is, what are what are the challenges, what are the challenges that you faced you faced during ETL testing in your projects, right? This is the first question. Second question is, um, could you explain some common or frequent issues or defects in ETL testing? Okay, these are two questions, guys. So we have to make sure we answer these questions in a proper manner, right? So when let's try to attempt the first question, and then we will move to second question, guys. So first question is, what are the challenges that you faced during ETL testing in your project, right? So don't say that I'm facing a problem with writing the query, or I'm finding some duplicate issues, or I'm finding some data issues, related issues, and all those are not the challenges, guys. Those are basically as part of your testing only, right? So that is expected, because you are a tester and you have to find all those issues, right? So those are not challenges. Challenges are something that that is something significant, right? And you are not able to, I mean, you have to put extra effort in order to handle those challenges, right? So challenges could be that it's not under your control. So anything that is you know uh, that needs external involvement or some other teams involvement, that those are called challenges basically. Okay, if you just think about it, and whatever testing you are facing some issues related to writing query or with regards to your skill sets, etc., those are not challenges, right? Those are something that you are expected to know all those things. So you never say that I find writing the SQL query where there are multiple tables and are involved, and finding issue with writing joins or left, some complex queries, etc. Don't say all those things, and also don't say that I'm finding too difficulty to understand the logic of the ETL and all those things. That is actually your part of your job, and you are supposed to know that, right? So, as I said, challenges are basically the one which are basically you have the dependency on some other team, right? Or some other people. Those are called challenges. So let's try to list out all the challenges one by one, and then we will see that why they are challenges, guys, right? So first of all, the very first and biggest challenge that we face is the changing requirement, guys. Okay, so I'll say that changing requirement. Okay, what happens basically when you start doing some testing, right? And let's say the job is delivered already, and you start doing the testing, all of a sudden that the developer says that there is some change in the requirement, and job is supposed to follow this particular logic, not this logic, right? In that case, what you have to do, you have to actually redesign your test cases again, right? So maybe there is a small change from the development side, but for you, there is a big shift. And in terms of that, you have to write the whole test cases, basically rewrite the test cases and execute the test cases, right? So what you have to do basically as part of that, your testing is impacted, right? So rework from your side, right? Test case, rework in test cases, and execution again, right? Because you have to again execute that and ensure that that is the new way of new test cases are actually uh, passing. Okay, so this is the first challenge that we face, and this is very frequent, guys. Okay, because sometimes the requirement are really not clear, and then in that case the developer develop the job and you have to again do the retesting. Right. Second challenge that we face is basically sometime what happens is, as I said, that uh, tester don't have access to ETL jobs, right? In that case, it is very difficult to perform the white box testing, right? When I say white box testing, basically looking at the mapping, transformation logic, etc., right? In Informatica, it is very difficult. Okay, I'm considering ETL as Informatica, guys, for your reference right now. So I will talk everything with regards to Informatica, not any other ETL tool. Okay. So you do not have access to ETL job, which means you don't know, basically you can't see the logic, what is written in the mapping and what kind of transformations are used, etc. In that case, because in every projects, uh, you really do not get, to see the jobs basically how they are written. So what you will get it, you most probably you will be getting the data lineage or source to target mapping, right? The data lineage sheet or the mapping sheet you will get. Based on that, you have to do only white black box testing. So here, what you have to say is, you cannot do white box testing, can be performed. Okay, can be performed, which means early detection of defect is also a problem. You cannot find the defect early in the stage, right? So for example, I'll tell you why this is important to have the ETL job access. Because you can actually go to mapping and you can see that some logic mismatch, right? So when you compare with your data mapping sheet, you will find that if there is some filter, they are putting some wrong condition here, you can actually go and you can just check in the filter transformation, right? Whether this they are actually putting, let's say, a department number equal to 10, instead of 10 they have put, let's say, 100 by mistake, right? In that case, what will happen, you will actually find those kind of defect very easily, right? And also some defects related to data type and data size in every stage, right? From source to target, within the mapping, within the transformation, if there is a lower amount of the size and the data type in the subsequent phase, and then that will cause the data truncation, etc. So those kind of defects basically you will be able to find it when you do the white box testing, right? Which means looking at the mapping. So uh, in some cases you do not have access to the mapping, so your testing will be basically little costly, because if you are finding the defects later in the cycle, then the defect is obviously going to be more costly, right? Now the third one, uh, okay, let me do it like this, guys. Okay, okay, I'll put it like Roman, right? I'll say 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So now, what is the third one? Third one is basically what happens is, sometimes the STM document or data lineage or mapping document, mapping document is also not provided to the tester. Okay, maybe with due to some reason, or the tester doesn't find this document. So the first and foremost thing that you should get this document. Okay, because this is the document which is basically written by the business analyst, and further basically it is translated by, in the technical language, it will be translated by your development team, and this is the core document. Based on that, the developer do the coding. If tester doesn't find this, then it will be problem, because you cannot really you cannot really look at the the ETL jobs and you can test it, because ETL job, they are actually designed based on this only. So your primary document is basically the STM document. You should have this document, right? And in some organization you will not get. Okay, So you have to basically explore the job and do the testing accordingly. Okay, and you might need to clarify with, you might refer some other document, or you might have to clarify with your development team and all those things, right? So this is also one of the challenge basically, okay, that you do not get as a tester, you do not get sometime this document as well. Okay, so what is the workaround? There is no workaround, guys, but you can still do the testing, minimal testing based on the ETL job specification. Okay, all right. What is the fourth, thing? The challenge that you face as a ETL tester is basically unavailability of test or QA environment itself, right? So if there is a small, there is a small team or the small projects, in those projects basically we do not have multiple environments, right? In that case, the tester will basically be doing the testing in the dev environment only, right? So QA will use dev environment only. Okay, in that case, what will happen is this environment is not stable enough, right? Why it is not stable enough? Because this environment is being used by developer also for their further development of other jobs, etc., right? So that's the reason the challenge is for the QA here, right? And in this case, it is not 100% guaranteed, because the data, the test data, etc., will be messed up basically, right? Because they are also doing some development testing, etc. So you are not really able to make sure that whatever testing you are doing is correct. Okay, so in that case, this is another challenge. Okay, all right, guys. Now the fifth point. The fifth point is basically, since data warehousing is basically the data warehouse basically consists of historical data, right? That historical data, and this data is huge in size. Okay, because in data warehouse we keep loading the data every day, the ETL jobs keeps running, and it pulls the data from production system, and it keeps logging into it keep writing the data into the data warehouse. In that case, the data becomes so huge one day that testing that particular data, if there is a need of doing the data testing, in that case it is very very difficult, right? Because this data is so huge, right? So that is one of the challenge basically. Okay, um, that is, you cannot really tell, because it takes a lot of time, right? The query time basically, right? Query takes a lot of time. Okay, other side of it, guys. Okay, another thing is, let's say we have to do the historical data testing, right? So there are, if you are done with the ETL testing, I mean basically transformation testing, etc., then you would like to do the data testing, right, in the historical. So what happens basically, when we have to do the performance testing, guys? Okay, so performance test, basically how do we know that whether your job is working in optimal condition, and it is having a good performance, right? The only way to test is to have the similar kind of volume of the data that is there in the production. So let's say in the production there is 1 TB of data, right? And now you have to test the newly created job with 1 TB of data in your test environment, because we are not testing in production, right? We are only testing in our test environment. So this is also a very big challenge, because uh, your uh, your test environment will not have this much of infrastructure ready, right? So database size will not be able to hold this 1 TB of data. Or I'm just taking example, guide. It can be 10 TB or 1 petabyte, etc. Okay, I'm just taking example now. So your production environment, because in that case you cannot really make sure your that the job will work fine in the production environment. We can't say, right? So the size in the production is always bigger than in the test environment, right? In that case, this is inefficient performance testing, guys. So this is another challenge. You cannot really have the prod like data in the test environment. Okay, I mean, you can have that, but you cannot have the huge amount of data. That is my point here. All right. So this is another challenge, right? We cannot make sure that the performance wise the job will do the do its job in the production environment, right? Now, guys, the point number seven is basically uh, what I can say is yeah, basically when you do the testing, right, in that case you need a lot of source data, right? Source data. So let's say we have we have in source, let's say we have 10 tables, okay, and these 10 tables are basically joined together and it is actually outputting into one single table in the target. In that case, guys, joining this table is again a huge task. And on top, first of all, the test data, to ensure that the right kind of test data is available in the testing environment, is also one of the challenge, guys, right? Because you have to basically ensure that there is a joining key satisfied between each of the table, then only the final data you will be getting. Otherwise you will not get any data in the target. So having this complex test data design itself is a challenge, guys. Yeah. So, and this you have to definitely take the help of your DBA to ensure that you are actually getting the right amount of data before you run the job. You have to make sure that this joining condition, everything is satisfied, and it is extracting some data. When you load the data, then only you can test it, right? So this is another challenge, the complexity of the test data, I would say, right? Complexity of test source data. All right. Now, number 8, guys. Basically, another thing is, so as I said that when we have to do certain migration kind of testing, right? In that case, we have the challenge to migration testing, let's say, right? This is part of again ETL testing, right? So when we do actually migration testing, especially in the data migration testing, let's say you are actually migrating from Oracle database to Teradata. Okay. In that case, what will happen is basically you are actually doing the historical data migration, isn't it? Historical data migration, right? In that case, uh, what you will do is basically you will have to um, this is the production system, let's say, right, in the production environment, and this is the test environment, because we are actually migrating it and then we will test compare it, right? So when we actually pull this data from the production environment, it is DBA job to ensure that the important data, for example, let's say customer information is there, customer credit card, or maybe some SSN number, etc. All those numbers are there, right? Very important customer identification numbers are there, right? Customer identification data. Those data should be those data basically, right, has to be masked, right? Which means that data should be replaced with some random digits, etc., so that it's not the real data. Otherwise, these are very sensitive data. And so this is the challenge, guys, because you have to get all those critical, or you'd say customer identifying data masked basically from your DBA. So this is another challenge that the tester faces, right? Now, the point number 9 is basically heterogeneous sources, guys. There is a problem with the heterogeneous sources, right? Heterogeneous, when I say that two different databases, not same database, right? Are different database vendor, right? Database vendor. When I say database vendor, it's basically it's Oracle and Sybase. Yeah, Oracle and Teradata. So these are the two different data vendors, right? And when I say two different database, this can be the same vendor. Let's say Oracle database only, but the databases are different, basically, right? I mean, one database is for some other purpose, other is, so those are also called the heterogeneous sources only. Okay. All right, guys. So what we have to do is, and also the data coming from, let's say, flat file, or let's say COBOL or XML, all those are heterogeneous sources, guys, because those are not same. So if the data is coming from only same database and it is having same database, then you can basically have the same source, same data from the same source system, right? That is called homogeneous, right? Otherwise everything else is the heterogeneous sources. So there is a problem, guys, because you are actually pulling the data from multiple sources here, and to in order to see that what actually coming as a valid, and all those joining condition, etc., it is really tough job basically, guys, right? I mean, you can only do certain amount of sample testing, sample based testing. You cannot really do whole testing until and unless you have automated it fully, right? So this is another challenge, dealing the data with the heterogeneous sources. Okay. Now, what is the 10th point? 10th point is basically, I think, security issue. What else we can do? 1 second, guys. And guys, one of the another challenge could be, I think, number 10. I will not say this challenge, but yeah, this is still challenge because there are wide variety of ETL tools, right? So if you have worked on Informatica and then you have got to work on, let's say, some other tool, for example, let's say SAP BODS, right? Business Object Data Services, right? Service. This is another ETL tool from SAP, guys. So understanding, how this tool works, etc., it's also one of the challenge, guys, right? So I mean, I would not say this is something skill, you have to enhance your skill, but then again, this is one of the challenge that you can say that you cannot really have you really can't learn all the ETL tool that is there in the market, right? So that is the reason I'm saying this is one of the challenge. Some people may agree or some people may not agree, but this I still see as a challenge. Okay. But yeah, I mean, say that's why I'm putting it at the end, right? So these are the top 10 challenges that, and as an ETL tester you will basically face it, right? Now, we'll take up the second question, guys. What is the second question? What are the common defects that we actually find as part of ETL testing, right? Let me try to cover that part as well. So the common defects are basically, when in TL I have already explained in one of the video, but then let me again tell you here. So one thing is incompatible data size, guys. Okay, incompatible. I think I have already shown you multiple times, right? When I was doing the ETL testing session for some of the transformations, right? Incompatible, compatible data type and data size between source or transformations or a target. Okay, when I say incompatible data type, what does it mean basically, guys? Okay, so let's say I have a customer table, all right, in source. Okay, so I have, let's say, customer ID and customer name. All right, 1 second, I'll just keep it here, guys, I think. All right, now, so this is my table. All right, now let's say customer ID, this is defined as number 10. Okay, this basically uh, takes the 10 number. Okay, and this is varchar 20. All right, customer name, or maybe 40, guys. Yeah, now when actually I design a mapping, I have a transformation. Okay, transformation. In that transformation, let's say I have filter transformation, for example. Okay, filter. In my filter transformation, I am actually filtering some customer id should be, let's say, 10. Okay, I want to actually take this filter transformation. And in terms of this column, what happens is basically when I mapped it, it actually converted into Informatica native, right? So this will be Oracle. Let's say I'm considering the Oracle database, okay? Oracle data type, okay, and this will be Informatica native data type, right? Informatica native data type. So when I say native, what does it mean? Basically, the data type is different here. So instead of number, let's say it is giving some integer. Okay. And varchar, maybe it is saying string. Okay. This is all right. Perfectly all right. There is no problem. Problem comes when actually by mistake or by some reason, this is actually put 30. Now what will happen? What will happen? In my target, let's say target is also good. Okay. I have target here, let's say target is okay, I'm customer underscore tgt. Okay, here also fine, everything is fine, there is no problem, source and target all are compatible. But in my transformation, that is filter transformation, the size of this particular data type is lesser than 40. So if I am getting here customer name 40 characters, okay, are more than 30, let's say 35 characters, right? 35 characters. What will happen is last 5 character will be truncated here. Okay, truncated. So for example, let's say name is something like this. I'm just taking example, guys. I'm considering this is 40. Let's say 35. Okay. Now what will happen in my target? I will have actually this much lesser. So I will have only this much. Okay, because actually it is truncating here, 30 only it is taking, right? And the same it is sending to the next, means target basically, right? So this kind of incompatible data type or data size might happen. So this might happen when you design, the developer design the mapping. So that's the reason I said that black box testing is very important, right? Testing the job, etc., checking the transformation, etc., that is very important. In all of my videos I have been stressing on this, right guys? Okay, now what will happen is another problem could be, forget about here, let's say here same case, right? 40, let's say here what happens is by mistake you have made it 30 here, and here you have made it 5. Okay, by some reason or by some mistake, right? So when the data molder were designing this table, basically he or she has done this mistake. Now what will happen? Again the data loss will happen, guys, right? Only 5 character, if it is customer ID is 10 character, only 5 character will be here, which means that the job failure will not happen. Only thing is the data that is of 10 character will not be coming. Okay, so for example here let's say customer number is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and again 9, let's say, for example, right? So only up to here only it will come into target here, which means actually we are losing the rest of the data here, right? We are losing up to here, all this data we are losing, right? Which is data truncation, right? So that's the reason I'm saying incompatible data type is a problem. Basically this is the common, very common defect. Okay, now second is so what can happen is basically because of this what will happen is the data loss, right? Data loss or the data truncation. Okay, this is the problem. Okay, this is the defect. Yeah, so because of this only, this is the root cause, and because of that this is the result basically. Okay, now what is that? Let's say third, there is a wrong data mapping also. There could be wrong data mapping. When I say data mapping, guys, what does it mean is, let's say in this same example, okay, so I have this 3. All right, I'm just taking it, let me copy it so that I can explain you guys. Okay, so here let's say customer ID, I have put the customer ID, and here also everything is fine, guys. Okay, here also it is fine, and here also let's say 40, there is no issue. I'm just keeping it like this, and here also let's say 40 only. Okay, there is no issues here. Okay, now what will happen is when actually a developer is doing the mapping, okay, and there is a something address field also here, right? Okay, maybe I will put city, country. Okay, city also, let's say, I'll just put it. I mean, okay, here also, the same thing will come. Okay, I'll come here also and here also. All right, here it may be something string, maybe, right? Just replace it with string because this should be Informatica data type, data size. Okay, it can be some other also, n string, etc. Also, guys, don't worry. But yeah, I just want to tell you what does it mean when I say data wrong data mapping. So by mistake, when actually I am mapping this, customer ID, I mapped basically, right? From here I pulled and I drag and drop to customer ID. This is fine. Customer name also it is fine. But when actually I am doing the customer city, then by mistake my customer city I end up, connecting with country, and the country is connected to city. Now what will happen? Basically entire thing will go on mess, right? So here in target also what will happen? City will be having what? City will be having the country and country will be having city, right? So this is what the wrong data mapping is, right? So this can happen by accidentally by the developer. So that is the reason I am saying that early you see as part of black box, white box testing as part of your, if you see the code, you can detect this kind of bug early. All right, guys. Now, fourth case could be the data business logic, basically, right? Business logic. So let's say your STM document says that you should. I'm just taking a filter transformation, guys. Very easy one. Okay. Filter transformation says that country, you should take country. Okay. You should not take country. Okay. Let's say you should take country India, UK, and USA. These three are the countries that you should consider. Okay. This is part of your this is written basically in your let's say STM document, right? Now while developer is coding, while putting the filter, he forgot to put, let's say, US or UK. So he or she only put the country equal to India and UK, and he forgot to put USA. In that case what will happen is it is a wrong logic, business logic, right? So only data for India and UK will be moved further and loaded in the target, and USA, since this uh, filter is not applicable, it will not actually, the data for USA will not move further, right? And then you will be losing the data for USA, right? So this is what I mean. I'm just taking very easy example so you understand, guys, right? So this is the problem with the business logic, wrong business logic implementation. Okay, business logic, I would say wrong business logic implementation. Okay, this is the problem that you can find out. Now this is the fourth, right? Fourth kind of bug that you will find out, and these are very common, guys. Okay. Now, what is another problem is basically with regards to if the developer is new and he do not have enough experience, then he or she might end up writing the inefficient SQL queries also, right? So for example, if you are using the joiner, or if you are using the source qualifier and in query override, etc., if you need to join let's say 10 different sources, okay, I will say inefficient SQL query, right? So let's say for example there are 10 source, right? And all are, let's say, relational source of the database. Then there are the 10 different tables, right? Joining all these 10 different tables, you can join it, but there are some other filter on top of it, right? So you can actually if the developer is quite new, then he might make mistake and he can get the desired output, but the problem is that query might take a lot of time. So it's a cost of query, right? Cost of query might be more, which means it's taking more time, etc. So that is inefficiency in writing the SQL query. That is also a problem, right? Especially now, guys, what can happen is another problem could be with regards to the data, data flow itself, right? So data flow, when I say there is a pipeline, right? So let's say I have two transformation. I have, let's say, source here, right? I'm just saying source, and then I have a filter. Okay, source, guys, and then you have source qualifier, then I have filter, and then I have expression. Okay, expression transformation, and then this is the target. This is, let's say, my structure is right. Now what will happen is basically I, let's say I have multiple multiple filter that I have to perform here, right? So instead of writing multiple filter, I can basically write one router, right? So router will basically, based on the condition, it will route to different tables, right? So in this case what I have to do is basically, let's say I have to target 10. So here, let's say, for example, I'll say employee, this is employee data coming, right? 10 department. So if I have a requirement that each and every, there are 10 departments, okay, 10 5 departments, right? 20, 30, 40, and one more, let's say, guys, here just try to understand it, and here let's say 50. What happens, source is having let's say all the departments, all the employee, having all the employee from the all the 5 departments. In my target, I want to load the data based on the department ID, right? So this target table emp underscore 10 department, this will only have the data for department number 10, right? In that case, what I have to do is I have to actually design the multiple mapping here in this case, right? What I have to do is I have to load it. I have to put a filter here, right? Department number equal to 10. Here also I have to put 20, 30, 40, 50. So rather than doing writing this kind of data flow, it is very difficult and it is a lot of time consuming, etc. So what we can do is, instead of using multiple filter, you can use one router, right? And in router you can give multiple condition like case statement, right? So in a single router you can achieve all these things, rather, and here actually you are writing three different mapping flow, right? Sorry, five different mapping flow. There only one mapping flow is enough, right? So this is what I am saying, that inefficient data flow mapping, right? Which means this is again based on, if the developer is not very experienced, then he might do this kind of, he or she might do this kind of mistakes, right? So guys, these are some of the issues that you normally find. I mean, I'm not covering each and everything, but yeah, there are some other issues also, but I just thought that I will cover all these things so that you understand this, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'm doing this video based on some request basically, guys, because some people said that they have encountered this kind of question, and then so that you know I did this video so that you all can get benefit. Okay, so that's all, guys, for this video, and thank you for watching. And yeah, one more request, please do like, comment, and subscribe my channel, because that is the only thing that gives me motivation to do more and more videos, right, for you. So please hit the like button if you're liking it. If you're not liking, you put a dislike button, so I also know that that you are not liking my video, and put the comment basically what you want actually, right? So that I can also focus. So guys, I think many of you are putting a lot of beautiful comments, and I keep reading that, but it's again difficult to answer each and every comment that you are doing, putting in. But yeah, whichever I'm feeling that it is most important and it can benefit the mass audience, that's the reason I'm taking up all those questions. And I hope that, and I'm so glad to see that many people are saying that they have got the new job offer, they are able to change their career track, etc. It's so nice actually when I hear all those kind of good words, right, and good feedback, right? Because ultimately I wanted all of you to learn and grow in your career and progress, right? So yeah, that's all, guys, I think, and that's all for this video. And yeah, I'll see you soon with the next video. Until then, happy learning. God bless you. Bye.